Welcome to You, Me, Empathy. Thank you for listening. We would like to remind you that this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Known as just a silly boy with a feely heart. Please consider supporting the show. Check us out on Patreon or simply leave a review on iTunes. Here's your host and creator of the show, Known Wells.
Greetings, feely humans. Welcome to You, Me, Empathy. My name is Known Wells, and I am here recording this intro from my new house. I'm surrounded by chaos. There's boxes everywhere. There's bags of clothes. I'm sitting at a temporary table in our living room, and I'm trying not to get overwhelmed, and I'm trying to just take it one day at a time. So I'm going to give that to you. Hey, you, one day at a time. That's all we can do. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We take it one day at a time. We breathe. We don't anticipate. We just live in the moment. We embrace the moment for what it is, whether it's sunny or raining, whether you're eating a boring turkey and cheese sandwich. I don't know where that came from. We're going to be in the moment. We're going to live for today. And whatever happens tomorrow, happens tomorrow. Because all we can control is the now. And it's going to be lovely and great. And we each have that capacity. We each have that power. And that's great. That's an empowering thing, right? Yes. You said yes, and I'm acknowledging it. Okay. So, today on the show, this is episode 40 of You, Me, Empathy. I chat with my friend Kourtnie McKenzie. We talk about autism, neurodiversity, and living life at full volume. Kourtnie is autistic, and she got her diagnosis as an adult. And we talk about how she copes and lives in a neurotypical society, how writing saved her life, and how autism affects gender differently. We also talk about being gifted, whatever that means. You know, that's sort of that label kids get. We talk about self-stimulating behavior or stimming, and why Kourtnie has to defend her identity after her autism diagnosis, and a bunch of other things. Kourtnie is a lovely human, and I am so grateful to know her and be her friend, and I think you'll love her too. So, I hope you enjoy the episode. Before we do that, please check out You, Me, Empathy on Patreon. Patreon.com/YouMeEmpathy. It's where you go for some extra bonus content from time to time. And just to support the show on an ongoing basis financially. Another way you can support the show is by leaving a rating and review in iTunes or Apple Podcasts. It's free to do, takes a couple minutes, and I read your reviews on the show, like I'm going to do right now. So, this review, just from 10 days ago, from Brave New Bryn. Hello, Bryn. The review is titled A Lifeline. She says, quote, "This podcast is so needed. The genuine dialogue Known creates with his guests around vital mental health, their struggles, stories, and the insight and growth gained from doing their work is breathtaking. Everyone who desires to gain further insight, empathy into themselves, others, and hear incredible tales of bravery and perseverance needs to listen to this. We're all in this together." End quote. Oh, Bryn, thank you so much. You're a new Instagram follower and friend and feely human that I am that I'm grateful to be connected to. So thank you for that. I am so glad that this show has impacted your life and you're getting something out of it. It's all I ever want out of this show. I want people to hear the stories, the brave stories, as Bryn says, from my guests, my beautiful guests, and take that with them and listen and relate and maybe have a little insight into their own lives. And that's a beautiful thing, and I love it. So go do that. Just go to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, search for You Me Empathy, and leave a rating and review. That would be splendid. Okay, let's get to episode 40 of You Me Empathy with my guest, Kourtnie McKenzie, on autism, neurodiversity, and life at full volume.
La la la, you, me, empathy, yeah, la la la.
Welcome to You Me Empathy, a podcast about exploring the struggles we face in our day-to-day lives as humans trying to get by on this wondrous and overwhelming pale blue dot. The intent of You Me Empathy is to talk openly, without judgment, about our neuroses, our mental illnesses, our shared anxieties and worries, to create a dialogue that is vulnerable and deeply human and empathetic, and to share that dialogue with others to inspire emotional and cognitive collaboration and insight, so we can, hand in hand, break down the stigma that make us feel shame and guilt for struggling, for feeling our feelings, for being human. You Me Empathy is a safe, friendly space designed to inspire the beauty in each of us. Today, I am grateful to reconnect with an old colleague and friend on the topic of autism, with prolific writer, special education teacher, and cat herding photographer, Kourtnie McKenzie. Hello, Kourtnie.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm all right.
That's good. I'm happy to have you here on You Me Empathy.
I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good. Well, so for the listeners today, we are going to be talking about the topic of autism. But before we do that, like we always do on the show, we're just gonna have a little check-in. So how is your day going, Kourtnie? How's your week been?
Oh, my weekend was great, and my day's going pretty well so far.
That's good. What's making it going pretty well so far?
I'm just finishing up my pre-writing project that I was supposed to have done last month. I'm making 108 Pinterest boards with 108 ideas each.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm lining my ideas up in a row virtually, and I am definitely going to be done today, so that feels good.
That's good. I'm amazed. I was looking through your many projects and websites, and I'm in awe of your, how much you do. I'm quite envious of this.
I'm trying to get over my perfectionism by just letting myself make projects without feeling pressured I have to finish them. So that's why they're like all over the place right now, like a firework.
Oh, I see.
Some will get finished, but some of them are just there for me exploring so I can finish the others.
Well, I love that idea, though, of just you have so many different things going at once. Like for me, I don't even get to the stage of even creating the thing or putting into words the thing sometimes. And it's just, I'm overwhelmed by all of the ideas, and then I just don't do any of them.
Yes, it's crushing when you have all these ideas spinning around, but you don't know how to engage with one. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to actually get over that fear right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job of that because your writing's great. All the stuff you put out into the world is really interesting and unique. So I commend you.
Thank you. That makes me feel great, actually.
Oh, good. Well, for me, I wanted to give an update on, two things as of this present moment. I always feel a little weird doing these check-ins for me because it's maybe like a sort of a timeline for the listeners because I'm well ahead on recording and this episode won't be out for a few months, but it's fine. My update this week is twofold. One, I am still on the current medication I'm on. It's called Vibrid. And I am at the stage now where I'm not sure if if it's right for me or not. I like can't tell.
I totally know that feeling. You're kind of like torn in between. I've been taking it. Is this what it's going to be like yet?
Exactly. Yeah. I just don't like, I don't want to give up too early on it, but it's so hard sometimes. So I'm at that stage. I have a couple more days left, and then I'm going to check back in with a psychiatrist to see, next steps, but that's where I'm at with that. And then I also wanted to provide an update on yoga therapy. So I went to a yoga therapist, which my Instagram followers know about, but it's basically one-on-one yoga designed to address both the mind and body. So like addressing things like my depression, my anxiety, but also like the physical pain I experience on a day-to-day basis. And my first sort of session, I have another one tonight, was actually really positive and very like welcoming. I was kind of nervous going into it, but so she gave me some sort of yoga moves, and the whole like concept is, and it's why I sort of sought her out, is I'm very interested in the idea of like body-based therapy, because a lot of studies nowadays are sort of more focused on body-based therapy and how we hold trauma in our bodies and things like that. So I don't know. It's fascinating to me. I'm going to keep doing it for a few more times, and I will keep you guys posted. So that's
I actually read a book recently about, it was called The Body in Pain. I can't remember the name of the author, though, but it was a beautiful book about that connection between what we feel is mental suffering and then that body experience as well.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that one out.
It was really neat. Yeah. I did yoga for a while, too. That was also really restoring.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Calm app right now on my phone, and it's just been absolutely fantastic because it lets you, first you have that like daily meditation that you're committing yourself to, and it's only like a 10 or 15 minute investment. But then they also have all these categories that you can explore deeper for areas that, at least for me, I'm going through like an identity crisis yet. So having those areas to explore those pieces of my identity is really nice.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard good things about the Calm app, and I would definitely check that book out. I've recommended many times on this show The Body Keeps the Score, which is probably similar sort of territory as the book you're describing, but it's all about like how our bodies hold trauma and our physical bodies, and the sort of start of the book was this guy named Bessel van der Kolk, who studied post Vietnam War vets and their PTSD and sort of coming to terms with the idea that like maybe it's not such a good idea to just have these guys like continually like talk over and over again about their trauma out loud. Like, let's figure out maybe a better sort of solution to that. And that's when he came into like EMDR and other things like mindfulness and yoga and things like that. So it's all very interesting. And it's why I'm doing the yoga therapy. So
I now have The Body Keeps the Score on a Post-it note on my desk.
Yay.
It's my little treasure for this talk today. I'm excited.
Yay, it's good. It's really fascinating. I think you'll really dig it, and I'm happy to talk about it with you when you read it. Okay.
I will dive into it.
Yes. So let's get into your story, Kourtnie. I just, for the listeners, if this context matters, we used to work together, Kourtnie and I, briefly, for a brief period of time, long ago at this company that doesn't exist anymore. A sort of weird period of my life, but I was there for almost 4 years, which is hard to believe. But you were a copywriter there? Editor?
I was a copywriter for like a half of a year, and then I was a copy editor for the other half of a year before the Great Recession reared its ugly head up.
Yeah, man. Now, I don't remember the timeline. Did you leave before me, or did I leave?
I left before. I was in the first wave of layoffs. I actually, I had seen, I always want to work in the video game industry, and I had just seen the Atlas their USA branch was right next to where I live. So I actually told them, like, to spare someone else's job, just include me in the first wave of layoffs, because I already have my heart set on where I'm going to go next. So let's just rip the Band-Aid off. So it wasn't as traumatizing as layoffs can be.
That was a brutal period of time, because there was a time where I was like managing some folks and I had to lay off people, and it was terrible. It was just terrible.
Yeah, because some people weren't prepared for it. I thankfully, I kind of saw the ship sinking and jumped off before I was drowning.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. Well, I bring up that context for the listeners. So we've known each other, but we haven't really connected in years, and just wanted to make sure the listeners were aware of that, if that matters at all. But I want to get into your story, Kourtnie, and I always kind of like to sort of foray into this mental health world via like maybe seminal moments from your childhood. Maybe moments that sort of have shaped who you are today, if that makes sense.
Okay. There's so many of them, though, because there's so many facets of what, like, the big thing since I got my diagnosis. I didn't find out I was autistic until it was less than a year ago that it was formal, but it was when I was 28 that I knew. So that like just shy of 4 years ago. But it took that long of going through different appointments with psychiatrists to get where I'm at now. But it's really made me realize how much of my identity is like masks that I wear to fit into neurotypical society. So a lot of when I look back to my childhood, I just see moments that taught me how to be neurotypical, not how to teach me how to be myself. Although my third grade teacher got me into writing, and that saved my life. So that Mrs. Denton's probably the one that I would say is like the monumental positive childhood memory.
Oh, that's nice. Now, when you say neurotypical, help me understand what that means.
So there's this idea that neurologically autistic people we're wired differently in a fundamental level because it's a developmental disorder. So neurotypical would be what you would expect to see with a brain scan, whereas if you have a neurologically placed developmental disorder, then that brain scan is going to look different. So we're neurodiverse or neurodifferent, whereas society that doesn't have a developmental disorder would fall into the neurotypical category.
I see. And so you had said, but when you were 28, you were diagnosed.
No, I was in my 30s.
You were in your 30s.
28, I started dating a man who had Asperger's, and he would call it Asperger's. It technically now is just Autism Spectrum Disorder, but a lot of people still like to identify with that old label from the DSM-4 days. But and I understand that. It's just I prefer being current, so I'm autistic.
Sure. But
being around him and reading about Asperger's, I just kept seeing myself crop up over and over and over again. The Complete Guide to Asperger's Syndrome by Hans Asperger was the first one that really made me like, oh my goodness, this could be me. But then I read a book called Aspergirls, and it hit me on the head. It was all the things about me that felt empty and missing. It filled those empty holes.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
Yeah.
So it was through this relationship you sort of started to realize, like, hey, maybe there's something within me that, is sort of has some similar qualities? Yes.
It made that past relationship very hard because it wasn't a good relationship, but it did give me that mirror to look into. And it was several years before I got to the point where I was formally diagnosed. I knew, though, probably like a year before that diagnosis, like the day that I went in there and talked to that psychiatrist, I had already read dozens of books on autism, and I could just, I didn't need someone to explain it to me. I could explain it.
Uh-huh. Now, walk me through like how, when you came to that realization, like how did that impact you emotionally?
At first, it was terrifying and devastating, like many identity crisis would be.
Yeah.
And even now I'm picking up the pieces that broke because of it. But the good news of that is that breaking that has helped me see who I am and not who I'm supposed to be in order to fit in.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it.
It's been slow and healing simultaneously. And then, of course, it has its rough days. That's just part of being broken apart.
Sure. Now, help educate me a little bit about this. You on your website, you said after adult diagnosis. Is this pretty common or more rare?
It's especially common for women on the spectrum because in the 90s, it just wasn't a thing. So when I was a kid in elementary school, they had done one-on-ones with me before to see, because I acted differently in school, but I ended up getting labeled gifted, not autistic, because girls didn't have autism. So now we're in this era where people are not only accepting that women have autism, but the rates of us having autism are going up and up and up because we're recognizing it's not necessarily a gender-based thing. It's just girls fly under the radar. And so there's all these women that are in their 30s and 40s and 50s that are finding out they're autistic.
Wow. So what is the social benefit of that sort of gender inequality? You know what I mean? Like why would girls go unnoticed? I mean, obviously,
girls
like
have higher expectations for social skills. Just the way that are, and that's a twofold sadness, because since autistic girls are placed in groups of girls that are focusing on social skills, and autistic boys are placed in groups of boys that are focusing on motor skills. And team building and things like that, but not necessarily learning how to communicate. The autistic boys often don't get as many social skills presented to them, and so they struggle more in adulthood. But the girls, because we have to learn how to get by, or we just get eaten alive in elementary school. And I got bullied, so I did get eaten up, but I didn't get eaten alive because I'm here. But the girls, they have to learn how to adapt to being a girl in school. Yeah. And so we learn how to emulate being neurotypical better than young boys do, I think.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. There's obviously I'm a boy, and there is a much more, especially as a young boy, there is a much more sort of speak with your body sort of relationship you have with other boys on the, on the playground or what have you. That makes sense to me.
And if you have a deficit in social skills, it's more readily forgiven if you're a boy. Mm. Whereas girls, it's like, what's wrong with them? They're supposed to be able to do this by now. But again, that's a double-edged sword, because then it's like we don't also give enough nurturing to boys with autism when they really, truly need it, because we're giving them a pass on the social skills. And then we're giving girls a pass on the diagnosis. It's a really weird dynamic.
Yeah,
that ends up happening just because of gender expectations. Right.
Now, so how did you, when you were diagnosed, how did that? No, let me back up. Sorry, I'm curious. What's other sorts of how do I put this? I'm stumbling. Sorry. What behaviors were sort of noticeable by friends, family, early on that would sort of indicate where you would, eventually get with the diagnosis? Like, obviously you were diagnosed in your 30s, but what were your parents sort of picking up on things? Did people talk to you about certain things? Obviously you said you were labeled gifted. What did that look like? What does that mean exactly?
I played a lot of video games, and I got very invested in special interests. I would just pick things and talk about them for forever and ever. And when people were obviously not interested, I would keep going anyway.
Okay.
And I think that was the first red flag, is this inability to recognize the social pauses I needed to make and what I was talking about, and then react to them. so I didn't fit in well because I just wanted to talk about Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger all day. And then being glued to technology, I think, also made my mom wonder a little bit.
I see. Did your parents or your mom ever reach out or
Yeah, my mom
take you
asked
to the
the
doctor?
school to take a look at me. They
Okay.
but then again, it came up as like, oh, she's just a gifted kid. She's just like an odd one, because I wasn't stimming at school. I wasn't doing self-stimulatory behavior, although I would do self-stimulatory behavior at home sometimes. And my mom, bless her heart, she didn't want me to get bullied, so she would point out, if you do that in front of kids, they're going to bully you. So she was helping to direct my stimming into a safe space. I ended up, all of the self-stimulation I would do growing up was in the shower. And then that was another thing my parents would make jokes about. They called it the hour-long shower of power.
Sure.
And I would just slide back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was relaxing and relieving, but also I think strange to them, but never strange enough that it got me to the point of being diagnosed.
I see. And when you first started, realizing and doing the research and stuff, like those few years, was it many doctor visits or?
I was on Medi-Cal.
Okay.
And I am again. I'm not teaching special education anymore. That did not pan out well.
Okay, my bad.
But no, it's all good. I am teaching over at 2 community colleges, Fresno City and Clovis. So I'm still a teacher. I didn't mesh well with the K through 12 system. But on Medi-Cal, I went to a hospital here that is not the greatest, and the psychiatrist that I spoke with was through a television set with like a delayed reaction with speaking, and his opinion was that only boys have autism and children grow out of autism. So of course I couldn't be autistic. So I hit a brick wall there.
Wow.
For diagnosis, and I had to spend a couple of years just being comfortable with the fact that I knew who I was and that outdated, poor medical insurance wasn't going to get it. And then when I got Kaiser and saw like doctors who read medical journals regularly and research their field, that's when I had my diagnosis at that point.
Okay. Wow, I'm sorry that you had to go through that initial experience. That sounds
It was so
terrible.
mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It sounds, it's like that's mind-boggling. You're right. That's the right word for it.
To this day, though, I have people tell me you're not autistic. Like when I was a special education teacher, one of my coworkers who was in the special education department would flat out say, you don't seem autistic. How are you autistic? Like I had to defend my identity even after the diagnosis. So that's just everyday life, unfortunately.
Why do you think that is? Because I've doing some research for this episode. Why do you, I read about that. Why do you think that is? Like, why do people why do they say that? Like, why would they think that?
I think that those of us that can get by verbally in life or get by with writing or just can live with like a state of calmness and happiness within ourselves. I think that it threatens parents who have children that are nonverbal, or children that are suffering from echolalia. It's autistic parents. That's the too long didn't read version.
Got it.
There's like this tension in the culture of autism, between what is labeled quote unquote high function, which I really don't like that term, but it's like this idea of high function autistic people are undermining the suffering of those that aren't. But high function is just a fancy way of saying that someone learned how to wear a mask correctly. It doesn't mean that person is less autistic. Right.
Yeah, I've heard that term before, and my perception of it is that, this person can, go about, hold a job, all these, interact with people at party, all these sort of typical experiences that, all humans have.
That's sort of
Yes.
like the perception that I have of it.
Yeah, it's this idea that, except that like I challenge that hold a job thing because I've been stably employed since I was 18 years old, but it's very rare that I find an employer that I'm with for more than a year because it doesn't work. There's always some kind of microaggression occurring, or I was having daily panic attacks while I was teaching K through 12, and I'm normally a couple panic attacks a year kind of person. So the anxiety's there, but the amount of microaggressiveness in that work environment and in other work environments I've been in before, the supposedly high function autistic people also often struggle with just daily things like jobs.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm honestly, I'm here to learn as well as listen to your story, and I personally haven't really had much interaction with autism, and I think I feel I don't know what I feel about that. I feel maybe a little shame because it is a thing that exists in this world, and it's something I should know more about.
The book I always tell everybody to read when I get I have to learn more about autism. What do I do? Like what's the one thing I could go to is it was published in 2017. It's at in a different key, The Story of Autism.
Okay.
It's enormous. It's it looks like you have a small dictionary on your desk when you're reading it. But it goes through the whole history of autism from the first time the word autistic was used medically all the way up till now.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pick that up and make sure to link it in the show notes. So what, I want to like maybe go ground zero and describe what autism is, or autism spectrum disorder is. Could you give like a simple definition of what it is?
Yeah, it's a developmental disorder that affects your sensory perceptions and all the different makeup happening inside your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And help me understand a little bit of how you live with autism spectrum disorder and what your day-to-day, just sort of walk me through a sort of a day of being Kourtnie McKenzie.
I'm a very ritualistic person because when I go out and I have to deal with the unpredictability of everything and the sensory stimulation of everything, it's extremely draining on me. And not in a like I'm an introvert and need to go home and recharge way, although I am that too, just to complicate things. But in like our ability to feel temperature, our ability to process social situations, our ability to hear, smell, think, hear, like all these things, I feel like are turned on high decibel all the time. And so when I go home, I practice ritualistic behaviors that calm me down, like aromatherapy, like my daily bath time, like my daily writing, my daily reading, my meditation. They're all things that bring me back to center because everything is so loud that it feels like I'm being torn in half all the time.
Wow. That sounds aggressive. That sounds...
I've been told I have violent language.
No, not at all. It sounds like, obviously I can relate to one aspect of it, the introvert part, like you said, but the decibels way up like that, I can't put myself in your shoes, but I could picture it. It's like visually, it's a very aggressive, very hard to experience. Like, so you do the rituals at home, those sort of ground you and bring you back into yourself.
Spirals and spinning also help. So, those hand spinners,
or fidget spinners or something.
Or fidget and twitching toys. I carry those around with me, and those help me come back to things being like regulatory and circulatory inside of me instead of feeling like fireworks everywhere.
Oh, interesting.
Life is just loud. I think that's if I had to put in a sentence, everything's too bright, everything's too noisy, people want to talk too much. Everything is just like taking a bite into a cheesecake that's way too rich over and over and over again until I get home.
That is very well said.
It's also really cool in that when something's enjoyable, it's immensely enjoyable. And when something is vibrant and beautiful, it's immensely vibrant and beautiful. It helps my writing, I think, because I just see everything on full volume.
What does that mean exactly? Like when you are out, are you taking notes, to sort of mental notes in terms of?
I'm a people watcher. I don't take mental notes. I have actual like notepads in my cell phone.
Nice.
I
love people watching.
Yes, it really helps with character development. It's kind of like when people have nervous tics, they're loud to me. I see it. I hear different ways that people breathe. I hear different ways that cars move across the road. I notice really subtle changes in temperature before people do. My friends say I have a bloodhound nose because I will pick up on a smell long before they're registering that smell. So it's kind of like my sensory perceptions go a little wider and deeper. And so if I pay attention to those things that are on the fringes and edges, I see things that other people don't see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like the sorry to do this, and I hope this isn't offending, but what you're describing, it makes me think of like a character in, like a science fiction world where like this world is sort of ramped up to these decibels, and they're seeing the sounds, as they pass by. They're sensing everything. Like does that line up?
No, it's not offensive at all. It's actually kind of a compliment.
Okay, good.
One of the most famous autistic people, Temple Grandin.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yes, I was supposed to save the hero until the end, wasn't I?
You can say it now and then.
She's developed these ways that livestock can live more humanely, and that's not magic. It's because she sees just a little bit further than the normal human perception would see. She sees in pictures, so she's seeing differently than our everyday neurotypical would see. And it's those glimpses into these different parts of the world that have allowed her to do that.
It's beautiful. I love that.
So I like to think that's the good part of autism.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part. I love that so much because I find that, there are aspects of this life that we need to sort of more closely integrate with and relate with and discover. And I think just as a whole across the board, humanity, so much of it goes unnoticed because we're distracted or we are not paying attention or we're just not.
We're focusing on sameness. We always want to see the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think like what you're describing is like a good lesson for all people, I think. So that's just my perspective. I'm curious about your mental, emotional, like the impact of your mental health with your autism. How does it affect your mental health?
I have had lifelong depression. I started having passive suicidal thoughts when I was in junior high. My first suicide attempt was 14. Thankfully, I'm more stable now because that whole our brain reconnects and figures out what's going on by the age of 25. But teenage was really hard, and I still have depression lingering about with me. I have social anxiety, like really, really badly. Sometimes it becomes agoraphobic. I'm afraid that like if I go outside, the stimulation is going to be too much for the day.
Okay.
I have migraines, and I'm pretty sure that they come again from having too much information all the time, too much data going into my brain. I haven't had a brain scan, but I'm like willing to bet that my amygdala is not working right because my fight-flight response is just so sensitive. And then I mentioned before, because of that fight flight response, I get panic attacks a lot.
I see.
So I do have a lot of the comorbids that come with autism, but not all autistic people are destined to develop those branches of mental illness. Just like any human on this planet, it takes different factors to develop those. And the autism made me more prone to it, but those comorbids are their own deal.
Yeah. And what do you do to, I mean, because I can imagine, I have depression myself, and, for someone like me, it's impacting me in ways like I don't want to leave the house, and I'm feeling just like, what's the point? Hopeless, all these things. With with your autism, is there, like, what is that feeling like for you?
Hopelessness and helplessness are very common emotions. Hopelessness that I'm always going to be on this planet that I don't belong on. Like, I'm in this world that's been built for neurotypical people with these flickering multi-current lights. Like in our house, we have nothing but LED lights because I could see oscillating currents. And it's a migraine inducer. So there's this like feeling that this world's always going to be developed in a way that doesn't fit neurodiverse people, and that's soul crushing. The helplessness, though, comes from the feeling of just absolute emptiness that's covered by masks.
Yeah. It's
like, if I took all the masks off, what would be there in the middle? And then that turns into the identity crisis issues and the anxiety, and it all just spirals together. I've been trying to get to the place where, rather than resisting it all spiraling together, instead I just am trying to make it spiral up instead of down.
That's like, a good way to put it.
Yeah, like it's going, the depression's there, the anxiety's there. If you ignore it, it's just always there. So rather than ignoring it, I'm trying to say, okay, I'm listening, but you don't get to be the one that makes the decision. We're going to move up. You can spiral around, and then I'm going to figure out how to lift that into something good. And that's where the creativity comes in, all the writing.
Got it.
The writing is like the ultimate therapy for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's proven writing's a huge part of a lot of therapy for people.
Yeah. I think art therapy is immense.
Yeah. Do you have experience with that? Specifically like painting or drawing or anything? Yeah.
I paint. I've taken ceramics before. I've done glass blowing before. I've done wood blocks are like my favorite printmaking, but I've also done silk screening before. I dabble in fine art a lot.
Awesome. What you're talking about, all these things that you're doing with the writing, with your rituals, things like that, your bath, etc.
Yes, bath time's immensely important.
Yeah.
I had an apartment with only a shower in it, and that was like living in hell.
That's unacceptable. No,
I can't.
My friend Mindy, who was on episode, I forget, my dear friend Mindy was like, baths or nothing. She does not do showers, so she's with you on that. I love baths myself, but I for some reason I can only take so much of the hot water. I get so sweaty, and I just can't. The hot water, I can only take like 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I feel you with that.
Yeah. So with all these things that you have that you've sort of developed on your own, like, have you gotten any support, like, medically from the medical community, other than like the books you've read and sort of?
I have been in and out of therapy forever. Mm-hmm. I have had so many therapists and counselors and then the antidepressants for depression, but they don't have, there isn't a medicine for autism. So I don't think I would want one either. I don't think I want a cure for this. It's just learning how to tolerate it. And with that, counseling and therapy is really useful.
Okay. Yeah. I really just meant like ongoing, like, guidance and things like that. So
yes, one-on-one therapy, not group therapy though, because that's too much social stimulation. It's kind of counterintuitive. Okay.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, no, I love my therapist, and I love going to therapy. It helps me out a lot.
Yeah, everybody should at some point, I think. figure out what's happening inside with a mirror that is a therapist. I always
agree.
recommend therapy to people.
Yeah, I mean, it's it takes some time to find a therapist that's right for you, but I think you're right. Like, I think the mirror thing is so important to just get your words out and have them sort of reflected back to you through the lens of someone who doesn't know you personally. Like, it's a hugely empowering and enlightening experience.
Yeah, it's quite the opposite of the stigma that weak people go to therapy. I think strong people become stronger through that exercise mentally that therapy provides.
Oh, absolutely. So what do you want people to know about autism?
If you have an autistic loved one, they should have a weighted blanket. That's like the first thing I tell anybody.
Okay.
I know that sounds really silly.
No, help me understand that.
This idea that autistic people need to be touched in the way they want to be touched, and weighted blankets are like a safe hugging. And all people need hugs, but not all autistic people can handle that tactile sensation. So, like, when I meet an autistic child for the first time, or even an adult that that has like autistic children, which is usually a flag they might also be autistic because it's genetic, the weighted blanket's like a night and day healing remedy. Not demanding eye contact is the next one.
Okay.
There's a memoir called Look at Me that it goes very in depth about how debilitating it could be for an autistic person to have to make forced eye contact, because all of the muscles going on in the human face and all the social cues going on in the human face, it's too much sometimes, and it can really wreck a conversation.
Gotcha.
Reading and watching YouTube videos on autism, there's so much out there now, and the YouTube videos are 10 minutes out of your day. It's not like you have to sit down for hours with a book in order to bring the knowledge of the autism spectrum into your life.
Cool.
Katie Morton has some awesome YouTube videos on autism, although her comment section, I don't want to say it's a bad section, actually, because reading through what people say, it helped me understand the positives and negatives of the idea of high function. So,
yeah, I've heard of Katie Morton. I've seen, I think, a few videos of hers. She's pretty well spoken.
Yeah, she does a very good job explaining autism from a neurotypical perspective. And I think that's equally important to understanding autism from an autistic perspective, because it allows you to see what autism looks like through that neurotypical lens, that world that you're looking through. So I tell people to go watch her a lot. Reading stuff written by actually autistic people and watching videos from actually autistic people, though, that's also equally important. Seeing the world from our eyes is just as necessary as seeing what our world looks like through yours.
Sure.
And also, my birds I told you they were going to be happy.
It's okay. No, they're just here to support this beautiful thing that we're doing.
I have a lot of therapy pets.
That's what animals, I mean, I love animals. I would have, they're the best. They're empathy machines, animals are.
Yes, they don't understand this whole social structure thing. They just love.
Yes, exactly. They're the best. Do you create videos yourself?
I've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel, but I am absolutely terrified.
Yeah. It is a terrifying thing.
It probably will happen, because every time I get scared of something, eventually I have to go see why I'm scared.
That is very admirable. And I will just say that, you speak very eloquently. You are clearly very knowledgeable. You write tremendously well. Like, I think, that medium would serve people very well.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Well, that makes me happy.
Good.
I've had a lot of speaking practice since I started teaching graduate school, and getting my feet wet teaching college, I think, was really helpful with my speaking skills.
I bet. Yeah. How did that go? Like, that first sort of teaching experience, we don't have to talk about the K through 12 experience, but your college experience.
Yeah. So teaching college, I think, is one of the one of the best career choices for autistic people that need to talk about their special interests. Like if there's this feeling of energy from talking about something you love, which is really common in the autism community, that can be a really empowering career. Yes, Meeper, I love you too. So I think being able to get in front of a group of students and talk about why writing is such an awesome thing for 2 hours a day, and to get them feeling the passion that I feel for my special interests, that is one of the best jobs I could have ever accidentally found.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
And I tell them on the first day as I'm passing the syllabus out, I'm very open with, I'm on the autism spectrum. You do have a neurodiverse professor. And I let them know, like, if I'm not looking at you, that means that I'm probably listening even closer because I'm trying to tune into my hearing and not necessarily visuals of your face. And they're really receptive about it. And I think that it actually helps as like an icebreaker to make a safe environment for my class. Because if I come out with my weirdness, everybody's going to come out with their weirdness kind of vibe.
Oh, I'm getting the chills, Kourtnie, because what you're doing is such a beautiful representation of what I try to tell people or recommend people do all the time, which is share, get, that's how, like, that's truly how we connect, is when we share about our things, we share about our human state.
And there is nothing better than a college English class for sharing something and also learning the rhetoric for how to do it correctly.
I love it. That's awesome. What are some myths and misconceptions about autism that I and listeners should know about?
I've heard so much. So one of the common ones that really gets under my nails is when people talk about how the autism community lacks EQ or empathy. I actually think it's quite the opposite. I think that we feel very deeply because we feel everything very deeply, like not just emotions, but the entire human experience.
Yeah.
But because we don't express it the way that is expected socially, it's often misconstrued as being emotionally detached. And I think that couldn't be anything further from the truth. One of the other things that I wish that more people understood, especially when you're interacting with an autistic person that's nonverbal or echolaliac or doesn't have the command over words that I've been able to slowly sharpen over my life. That doesn't mean that they have a lack of wanting to communicate. Often pointing or stimming or saying the same phrase over and over or spinning near an object or something. There's nonverbal communication happening that's being ignored and missed. And the more an autistic person tries to communicate and fails at making that bridge, the more hopeless and helpless it feels. So if the goal is to enable a culture where we all can connect and talk to each other, we have to open up and hear each other non-verbally and in a non-standard way around autistic people.
That makes complete sense to me. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it should be we all have something going on. We all struggle. We have our dark spots. We have our bright spots, and we're all living here on this pale blue dot, as I often say. And we need to meet people where they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all having unique human experiences that could be really cool if we could connect them together.
Yeah.
If we could just take that moment to do that.
Yeah.
One time that, like, even though I can talk this well right now and I can write well when I have my wits about me, if I'm not in that state, if I'm overstimulated, I revert to behaviors that are very nonverbal. And it was at the hospital rocking to soothe myself. The forward and backward motion helps to find that center inside yourself again. And the nurse turned and looked at me and said, if you don't calm down, we're going to have to medicate you. And I had to write on a piece of paper, rocking is calming me down. And the negligence of that knowledge to to make that remark, that those are the things I would hope our society eventually comes to the point where we avoid doing that, where we avoid interpreting a behavior as a sign of something bad when it could be communication for trying to get to peace and good.
Wow, and this is coming from the medical community.
Yeah, I was a nurse at I don't want to say which hospital or anything like that, because it's like the last thing that I don't like being incriminating. I don't like sounding like this whole world is doing autism wrong, because that's hardly the case. I think human beings really truly want to help each other thrive and be happy.
Yeah.
I believe in a better human nature than that. But having those anonymous stories of when that nature has faltered is also important to make that conversation move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the types of things that you are writing and producing, specifically on your autism website, Cleo's Autism Awareness?
Yeah. So I had a really weird cat, Cleo, and watching her kind of be an oddball cat around the other cats connected with me a lot. So that's where the name is. But my whole blog's trying to figure out how to connect with that weirdness inside of me as something loving and not something socially bad. And as I come to realizations, and I write about them in a way that I hope helps other people come to realizations, not just about my personal experience, but how that could echo into experiences other autistic people might be having too. Like this last week, I just wrote about different ways that aromatherapy helps because of that sensitivity with smell. I think actually translates to aromatherapy being useful for autistic people. But then also I did research on how it's not useful sometimes. So it's fun because I find out, okay, this is my authentic self. This is what it's like. I go read about it, and then I write about it with both my side and the sides I read.
That's great. And are you sort of fostering a community of other autism humans?
Yeah. I have autistic people that follow my blog. Most of the time when I'm connecting with the actually autistic community, it's through Twitter.
Okay.
I find that my blog audience is actually a lot of families that are trying to understand what their children are going through. And that means so much to me, because every time someone does that, that makes that autistic loved one's life a little better.
Ah, I love that. You're doing such an important thing there. I mean, that's such the beauty of all of this is that, in your sort of understanding, as you put it, your weirdness and sort of loving that and bringing that brightness out of you, like you're helping others. And that's a beautiful thing.
I'm quiet because I'm glowing.
Good. Well, I mean, like I say this to people on my show all the time, like, and it's why I do the show is if we're not, we have to embrace ourselves and our experience and our struggles and all of it. And through that, if we do that openly and honestly with ourselves and the people in our lives, like we're only going to like bring joy and learning and potential growth in who we interact with and who we touch, and that's just a great human thing that we all can do, so.
I think if everyone shared one story that they think someone else might have gone through that could help them out, that the bridges that we would make overnight would be huge. Just the act of storytelling. I really, truly, wholeheartedly believe that's what heals our society.
I'm with you. I'm a huge proponent of stories and storytelling. I think that's, gosh, I think of all of the characters I related to growing up reading fantasy novels and, Lord of the Rings and Where the Red Fern Grows and all these sort of boys in the woods that sort of like made me feel a little less alone, like all that stuff. Like storytelling is so powerful for growth. Yeah.
Also, the memoirs too, though, and just the articles on the internet, and the brave person who does that authentic post on Facebook that's 3 sentences long, but is not just them trying to look perfect. Like
Totally.
Even the tiniest storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Well, what else do we want to say about autism and the awareness of autism? What else? Are we missing anything, Kourtnie?
I think that going to YouTube and watching videos by both mental health experts, not that autism isn't mental illness, but it still is, it ends up being the mental health field that's looking at it. But watching those videos, listening to what actually autistic people have to say about the experience, if we just open our ears a little bit, I think that would make tremendous improvement. And also acknowledge we made the internet. My goodness, this world is founded on autism.
Well, those are great. That's all great. And I would also say to the listeners and myself, remind myself even that we're all human. Be empathetic, be kind, want to learn about your fellow human and understand. And that's going to make things so much better for the lives that we live and all of that, and the relationships that we foster and create. And I'm just sort of on my soapbox now, but I
agree with the soapbox.
Thank you. Well, let's talk about empathy heroes.
So Temple Grandin.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, I really look up to her. I'm really into physicists. The conversations about how we are a collective at an informational level, I think helps to balance us also being connected at a spiritual level. So I'm a really big fan of like Carl Sagan. Emily Lochdiani is a planetary scientist that I've been really into lately. My writing hero is Anne Lamott, and the book Bird by Bird.
Oh yeah,
I read that book every couple of years. It's like my guide to life.
Awesome.
And Ursula Le Guin is my fiction writer hero. I was sad to lose her.
Oh yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, those are all amazing ones. Episode 2 guest Benjamin Dewey is one of the biggest Carl Sagan fans I know of. He's often quoting him just all the days in life. Just he pulls Carl Sagan quotes just out of thin air all the time. It's very fun.
They're very comforting.
They are.
When the whole world is like, why is it this way? Well, Carl Sagan figured out why it was this way.
I know.
It helps me navigate this place.
This
totally. Pale blue dot.
This pale blue dot. Yeah. Exactly. No, exactly. Well, those are all amazing empathy heroes. My empathy hero this week is a new friend I met, actually, which is something for me kind of hard to do sometimes. I'll be 37 next month. I think as you get older, it tends to be a little harder to make friends. But as an introvert and not sort of super fond of like big social settings, it is hard sometimes to make friends. But I made a new friend via Instagram. Her name's Julia, and she runs the Instagram How Am I Feeling? And she's just put together a beautiful community of empathetic people sharing their mental health stories, and I found out that she lives locally to me, and so we met up for coffee, and actually we recorded an episode a week later that will be out soon, or it is out as of this recording. But anyways, I just wanted to call her out.
Now I know who I'm listening to next.
Yeah, I mean it's just fun. I was proud of myself for making a new friend. So Julia, you're the empathy hero this week.
Yay, Julia!
Hey, Julia. Well, before we go, why don't you plug your websites where people can connect with you online and read your writing?
Okay. So CleoAutismAwareness.com is definitely the source I would recommend for the writing I'm doing for autism. I'm also on Wattpad under Kourtnie Net, and Kourtnie Net is also my website. So it's kourtnie.net is actually my central hub that connects to all my creative writing projects. So anyone interested in finding my social media accounts or what I'm working on, God, that sounds kind of creepy. Find my social media accounts because you want to learn. That's the website I always recommend.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure to include all of those links in the show notes for you listeners. And, I thank you so much, Kourtnie, for being on the show and for helping me learn a bit more and develop a bit more empathy for the world of autism.
Thank you for giving me the spot on your show. It really makes me feel like that we're part of this narrative. It makes me happy to include that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm just happy to do that and connect with you and to just see how you're doing and all that stuff. Just happy about that. Well,
also,
listeners, yes, go.
Is 37 a prime number?
It may be.
I think it is. You have a pretty badass birthday coming up. Oh, am I supposed to not cuss?
No, all language is valid.
That was me for making fun of my laugh in the background too. My goodness. Okay.
No, all language is valid. I always say
I had to congratulate your prime number birthday.
No, I appreciate that. Yep. So to you listeners, as I always close it out with, I'm here, you're here, we're here together on this wayward, and Meeper says hello too. Wayward, overwhelming, awe-inspiring pale blue dot. We have each other. It's you, me, empathy.
Oh